Our next activity is actually an interactive activity. It's going to be music therapy, and this will be coached by Dr. Mary Kauffman, who's a music therapist, as previously mentioned by Dr. Pozo.
Good morning or afternoon or evening, wherever you happen to be. And yes, I'm one of the two music therapists at Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center. Thank you very much for inviting me to speak a little bit and to walk you through an interactive demonstration. I just also want to mention that thank you, Dr. Pozo, for mentioning our virtual services and also for mentioning that anybody can join. The Survivorship Choir is online, is virtual, has been virtual. We're having a great time, and wherever you are in the country, feel free to join us. We have one person in St. Louis, Missouri, and one person in New York City. So we are all over the place. So yes, as I mentioned, I'm board certified music therapist and specializing in oncology support services. Many people ask, first of all, well, what is music therapy? And because I'm going to lead you through a couple of interactive activities, I don't want to spend too much time talking about the definition of music therapy, but essentially it's the use of music to achieve a non-musical goal using research and clinical evidence-based techniques. By a board-certified music therapist in a therapeutic relationship. So this can be psychosocial issues, it can be sensory motor issues, cognitive or communication issues, and it's very individualized. So there's a broad range of symptoms or general symptom distress that can be alleviated by different music therapy techniques. Some standardized protocols for gait training after stroke, TBI, or brain tumor, or also Parkinson's disease are very well researched. Speech and communication therapy using music therapy, melodic intonation therapy is also very well researched and standardized. But many of the issues that we deal with, for example, with anxiety or distress, are very individualized. So it could be music listening, it could be guided music meditation, it could be mindfulness-based music therapy. Instrument playing, very good for cognitive rehab. If you're having some issues from chemotherapy with cognition, with attention, with learning, with memory or executive functioning, then instrument playing is a great choice. And that doesn't have to be something complicated like piano or guitar. That could be simply playing a drum, like this one, for example, which I'm going to play in a bit. That's an instrument playing. And is very useful for rehabilitating cognition. Singing is a great way to relieve stress. It's also a great way to work on cognition, on memory, also on respiratory skills and cardiovascular skills. If you ask any of the singers in the survivorship choir, they will tell you that it is hard work. But they enjoy it. We have a great time. And none of them knew what they were doing when they started. So if you think that you can't sing, go ahead and join us anyway. Songwriting, also an excellent choice for emotional expression, and you can read all of the benefits, relaxation response, and the rest of it. Now, I thought for today, because it is a short period of time, I want to give you a couple of quick fixes. One of them involves focused music listening, mindful listening. You can pick a piece of music that's familiar and focus on one element and then carry it through. This is a good technique for when you're feeling like your brain is in a spiral and you can't seem to get out of it. If you have some music on, or if you can put some music on, focus on just one element in that and follow it through. Now, this is where the interactive part comes in, because I'm going to give you an example of this. And I'm going to choose a piece which is probably familiar, and I chose it. It's from the Baroque era because it is fairly transparent, and it's meaning it's not very complicated. So the cello is the lowest line. Just focus on that as long as you can. Fortunately, you're not right here in front of me, so I can't ask you how you did. Well, I'm going to ask you anyway. How did you do? You might have found that it was a little bit easy at first because the cello was fairly dominant, but then that it got more and more difficult as the complexity of the piece increased. So this is an excellent way to practice focusing your brain and quieting it while a lot of other things are going on. And in case you didn't know, that is Pachelbel's Canon in D. You can use any piece. Use a piece you know. Use a piece you like. There's a lot of talk about what is relaxing music, and while we do know that the heart rate and respiratory rate will entrain to a certain tempo. There is research on that. We also know that people don't engage to the music, and they don't entrain to it if they can't relate to it. So music that is preferred music is actually can be more relaxing than music that is supposed to calm you down but that you just don't like. So go ahead and use preferred music, and then if you're feeling particularly stressed out, see if you can just focus on one element and carry it through all the way. Now you might have noticed that your breathing also entrained to the music. That means it might have slowed down to the pace. And this is one thing that music is very useful for, and that is inducing a relaxation response. The relaxation response is a physiological response that will interrupt the cycle of the fight or flight syndrome in your body and start to calm you down by engaging the prefrontal cortex, which then will tell the heart and the respiratory systems to slow down. And one way we can do this with music is by providing repetition. So this repetitive pattern gives your brain something to focus on. And you can also pattern your breathing along to it, synchronize it. You can breathe in, breathe out. And while you're doing this, you could also engage in something like a mindfulness meditation, focusing on one word or one phrase. Or you could also engage in autogenic training, so focusing on different body parts, repeating a phrase like taking an inhalation and then exhaling and thinking, my arms are heavy and warm. Inhaling, exhaling, my arms are heavy and warm. And one more time, inhaling and exhaling, my arms are heavy and warm. And then inhaling, exhaling, I am calm. Inhaling and exhaling, I am calm. And a third time, inhaling and exhaling, I am calm. Just breathing gently in and out. Now that's a very short example of an autogenic training exercise that you can do. There are many other different types of exercises. The important thing is to provide a repetitive pattern and then also a passive return. So in other words, as soon as your mind wanders, to simply bring it back. And that's one of the things that the music is really useful for. Just kind of hearing this pattern. When your mind starts to wander, the music provides a reminder to bring your mind back to where it is. So now that everyone, I hope, is relaxed and concentrated at the same time, I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Lutsky. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kauffman. It was very hard to get back here. So relax. I have one question. Does someone need to be a part of an organized music group to benefit from music, or can one do it on their own?
That's an excellent question. And the answer to that is, of course, you can do it on your own. You can visit or find some information from someone and a music therapist, hopefully, about the exact benefits of music. And you can and should do this on your own. Being in a group, making music in a group, is very, very, very beneficial on a number of different levels. It's beneficial on a psychosocial level. It's beneficial on a cognitive level. It's beneficial on a physical level, sensory motor level, and also just on a social and a spiritual level. It has been shown that greater benefits, for example, are found in group singing than in solo singing, because everyone's heart rate entrains and everyone's breathing rate entrains. Having said that, it's not always possible to join a group. For example, in the past, 15 months, it hasn't really been possible to do that. So in this case, it's very useful to find some techniques that you can use on your own. For example, the music listening. You can do that in your car to concentrate. You can also take a deep breath and do some vocal toning in a car. There's nothing quite as satisfying as taking a deep breath and making a noise.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think I will resume my saxophone lessons after this, although I don't recommend anyone to be around me when I do that.
It doesn't matter as long as you're
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Kauffman, for your presentation today.